Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And in this one, I'm going to be going over the Retribution Paladin in the pre-patch. And oh boy, is this one a doozy if you want to have a good time in the pre-patch and perhaps moving into Shadowlands. I geared my character up. Only played it for about a week and a half. I got all of my gear mostly from PvP. I did a couple of runs to not even get up to a rank 12 cloak, and I managed to get 2400 in 2v2, albeit I was carried pretty heavily by a warlock named Maldiva. But nonetheless, it has been a specialization that even in this item level of gear, I am crushing battlegrounds. I am one-shotting people. It is a good time all around, so much so that I'm strongly considering it moving into Shadowlands, the expansion itself. The only reason that I would be a little bit hesitant is because it's so good that I feel like it's too good to be true at this moment in time. But I just wanted to run you through kind of the how to play Ret, or Ret for dummies, right? Because I'm a dummy. I played it. I managed to make it work. So I'm passing on some of the knowledge to you. We're not going to be going into a huge amount of detail of like the best every situation, just an all around kind of cookie cutter build to get in there and start smashing people. So as I said, all of my gear that I'm wearing is awarded from PvP, so you can get this from doing 2v2 arena or 3v3 arena or rated battlegrounds. But Avenger's Might as an Azerite trait is definitely a must. I'm actually not even wearing the right helmet at the moment. Avenger's Might is a great Azerite trait, just more mastery, more damage during your wings. Empyrean Power, you want to have one of these so that while you're attacking, you have a chance to get a free Divine Storm. That'll be important when we get to the talents. When we're looking at further Azerite pieces, again, Avenger's Might, because I was only gearing through PvP. Indomitable Justice was just a secondary on this, just more damage when you're higher health than the target and you're judging it. And then for the chest piece as well, I wanted to get one Light's Decree, so that way my Avenging Wrath lasts 5 seconds longer and does a little bit of extra damage while it's currently active. And again, because this is all from PvP, it's not the BIS. Expurgation was my secondary on this, but it still works. I'm still doing a lot of damage, one-shotting people on me. You can see it's 105 item level. As far as essences, I was pretty much playing this every single game. I pretty much never changed this. And I was still having a lot of fun with it. Vision of Perfection Major, Crucible Minor, Breath of the Dying Minor, Conflict and Strife Minor. This gives you versatility and all of the big proc damage. And the most important part of the formula, which is Vision of Perfection, just granting you Avenging Wrath at random with Light's Decree Azerite trait, increasing Avenging Wrath by 5 seconds for its duration. Because the gear awarded from PvP has a random assortment of stats that kind of suck, I would probably likely want to focus on a mix of haste, versatility, and mastery. But with the way that things ended up working out here, I got more of a crit build, which actually didn't feel too bad. Crit got buffed recently in PvP as a stat, so it didn't feel awful, but I was wearing 110. Again, crit, verse, heavy weapon. Just the best trinket that I happened to get. And this is what I'm trying to show you is this is just for dummies. You can do this basically with anything in the game. Crit verse, haste verse mastery. Managed to get some sockets randomly. Haste mastery, crit haste. I didn't really go out and try and get Girthalak, or not Girthalak, Giddy Iku, or any of these types of like PvE mythic stuff, and I managed to make it work just with this assortment. But obviously I think versatility is a good stat to go after. But right now with how high damage crit is, or how high damage is period, crit is really good. One of the kind of more interesting things to note with Ret Paladin, this is the part we're going to have to use our brain a little bit. I was hoping to not have to ask us to use our brains throughout this entire video, but it's important that we use our brains during this part. It's Execution Sentence, which is a giant hammer that comes down from the sky. You attack into it, and it blows up for even more damage. And then Final Reckoning, which is a 1-minute cooldown that increases all the holy damage we deal to the target by 50%. These two combined do massive damage, and the best way that I've found to combine them is to start your engagement with a Judgment and then a Blade of Wrath to get 3 holy power. Once you have 3 holy power, activate Avenging Wrath, Final Reckoning, Execution Sentence, Wake of Ashes, Templar's Verdict, Judgment. If you get a proc, Templar's Verdict again with my honor talent, Blade of Wrath, Templar's Verdict again. And what does that say in the combat log? My actions. Let's see where it was. Execution Sentence, 17k non-crit. Right here. Numbers don't lie. 17k non-crit. My HP is 17k. I would have killed myself in one hit with that from full health. So it really good burst. That is kind of you got to pay attention for a little bit, right? Then when that's not on cooldown, kind of your name of the game here is to just spam all of your buttons: Judgment, Blade of Wrath, Crusader Strike. When you start getting too much holy power, spend it on Templar's Verdict. If there's multiple targets, spend it on Divine Storm. This is just doing damage, right? But if you're not doing damage and you're dying, you can also just allocate all of your holy power to Word of Glory. This is one of the other most insane parts of the Ret Paladin, is just allocating it all to Word of Glory. If you do that, you'll almost never die. At least I was able to survive for a really long time. It heals for more if you heal a target that's low health, but you can just allocate it all into Word of Glory. So just smash your face on the see, I got Crusader Strike on 1, I got Blade of Wrath on 2, Judgment on 3. I'm basically pressing them all at the same time. I'm not really thinking about it. This is my rotation outside of it, right? I'm literally just hitting them as they happen to come up and smashing them. So it's not, if you're thinking like, oh, I can't reroll, it's too hard, I'm struggling, I'm not thinking when I'm doing that. Again, the only part that you're thinking is that one shot. Some cool things that came back to Ret was like Blessing of Sacrifice. So I can put Sacrifice on a teammate and then be immune to crowd control. That was the main way that I was doing it, because I hate getting polymorphed. But you can use it to save your partner, obviously redirecting some damage to yourself instead of your partner taking it. But those are kind of like the new big flavor things, the general overview for it. I like running Divine Purpose on this row because Holy Avenger doesn't line up well with your cooldowns on 3 minutes, and with Avenger Wrath being 2 or sometimes lower. You could do Seraphim for even more damage during the Final Wrecking Execution sentence, but it felt a little bit too all in. Divine Purpose just proccing at random, giving you a free holy power spender that's doing more damage, just gave me really good flow, especially with the Vision of Perfection. And that's why I like this face smashing build. I really liked Divine Purpose with the face smashing build in particular. And I basically never changed these talents. I ran Cavalier because I wanted to move more. And with Word of Glory, I felt like the defense from the other two options was a little bit unnecessary. As far as honor talents, when I wanted to do damage, I played Divine Punisher, Lawbringer, and Vengeance Aura to get more damage when my partners were crowd controlled. Lawbringer is pretty much mandatory. Just Judgment's going to be doing more damage. And then Divine Punisher during that opener that we just went over. So we do a Judgment, Blade of Wrath, Avenging Wrath, Final Reckoning, and then Execution Sentence, build, get Holy Power, spend it on Templar's Verdict, Wake of Ashes, spend it on Templar's Verdict. We're trying to get as many Templar's Verdicts as we can, and you can see that proc in between too, getting that free Templar's Verdict from Divine Purpose gave me an extra one that I wouldn't have otherwise got during that burst window, which allowed me to hit this time around for 17,000 consistently. If I get my rotation off, I can do a 17k 1,000 burst. This allowed me mobility. This is the cookie cutter build. I could go into specifics of other situations, but if you just want to jump into Ret, get going, this was really good for doing damage. The only thing otherwise is if you want to move more, you can switch for Unbound Freedom and Law and Order, still get Lawbringer as the baseline. This is then going to make your freedom faster and undispellable, and then your Blade of Wrath is going to slow. And I liked Blade of Wrath to just reset the cooldown more, to apply the slow more, and also just generate holy power more, to get spend more, to get divine purpose more, to get free more stuff, to keep bashing my face on the keyboard. That was generally it. Pretty straightforward. You got powerful cooldowns like Divine Shield to immune damage. Shield of Vengeance, you almost always just want to pop this before running into an enemy because damage is so high right now that this thing will just break, but it'll do a ton of damage in reverse. And of course you got Hammer of Justice to lock down a target, stun it in place. But this is kind of just the general overview. If anything lights up, press it, mash your face on 1, 2, 3 if you want to copy my keybinds, and then that burst window with Execution Sentence if you want to watch it over again. That's basically it for my cookie cutter Ret Paladin guide, my Ret Paladin for Dummies. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you explore Ret Paladin a little bit during this downtime before the Shadowlands and maybe consider it as a main moving forward. Other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.